So if someone watching this at home wants to help make the case for cash relief, because I know there's so many people that want to see this happen, and there are different things you can do. You can the traditional thing is like write your member of Congress. They can certainly support Humanity Forward, but like, when someone asks you this question, like, where do you send them?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly more options now. And I guess one of the questions I ask is like, what is it that you want to do? And not only like what's available, but even like what skill sets do you have that you could even create something new? Like what would be even like an enjoyable thing, like a fun thing for you to do? Maybe you'd like to write something. Maybe you'd like to, as for like submit it to your local paper, or maybe you'd like to write to your members of Congress, or maybe you'd like to start up a podcast, or maybe you already have a podcast and like, let's do like a topic about basic income or something along those lines. Like, there's various things that people can do, and certainly, getting money to as funding for Humanity Forward is a great way to go about that now. But also I really like
ScottSantens.com. No need to feel restricted.
or ScottSantens.com. But also, Income Movement, which is at incomemovement.com, is doing a lot of great stuff, grassroots organizing. People can, be involved there. That's great. And also we've got the Basic Income March is coming up here in September. And that's really exciting to see happen again. Hopefully there again be even more people this time than the previous times, and that could show even more movement. So people can, hey, if there's already something scheduled and a march in your place, then in your area, then please attend it. And if there isn't, then please be that person that sets it up and helps organize that. So there's definitely things that people can do that didn't really exist years ago.
So you've seen basic income grow from this marginal thing no one had heard of back in 2014, let's call it, and then 15, 16, and now in 2021. It feels to a lot of people like we're this close. I mean, it feels like that to me. We're sending out checks to tens of millions of people. It's like, why don't we just keep on doing it? It has grown. The majority of Americans are for it. I can't tell you, just walking around really anywhere, people recognize me and are excited to see me and the rest of it. And one of the things they'll always say to me is they'll say, "Love UBI." it'll be like that. And it happens to me frequently enough where I guarantee that these people are not hanging out on forums or, that like they don't strike me as activists. And so it seems like there's a ton of energy. And one of my projects now is to try and figure out how to both grow that energy and also translate it into action and policy. So we have Humanity Forward on the lobbying side. We have people who can do things like participate in the Basic Income March and organize locally. And so now my efforts are going to go towards trying to make it so that our government's actually more responsive to the will of the people, because that connection has unfortunately been breaking down for quite some time.
There's so much that can happen at the local level that I don't think enough people like appreciate, where, if it may sound like you can't, get your member of Congress or, something to do anything. But there's certainly things like, even another thing that happened in this out of the pandemic was the Mayors for Guaranteed Income launched. And then suddenly that opened the avenue for people to contact their mayors and encourage them to join this and launch a pilot.
That's another thing you can do.
Right.
In addition to the march, you can yell at your mayor, be like, hey, why aren't you part of Mayors for Guaranteed Income?
And the way that works is, you get mayors on board and then suddenly that lends this idea more credence. And then also you've got like city councils that are looking at this. You've got like, also yesterday was a big day too, because California passed the first bill for a publicly funded, like ongoing guaranteed income program, which is for foster youth. And that too came from a pilot that started in Santa Clara County that came from, I'm aboard for the Fund for Humanity, the jail board Fund for Humanity. And that was a pilot that was started there, which is this little pilot for a small group of youth aging out of the foster youth system. And that did so well, and also it happened during the pandemic. California, looks at this rising popularity that again came out of Stockton, and they say, well, let's do this statewide and like a permanent thing to make sure that those aging out of the foster youth system have a basic income for 3 years. And now that's a real thing. Like that is a thing now as of yesterday. So again, it's just amazing to watch how something can be, small and grow over time. One pilot may seem like a small thing, but it can grow into much bigger things. And I think that over time, we're going to see this stuff get bigger and bigger. And all of that lends more momentum to the whole thing to get more people on board, more organizations on board. And then once you get those kind of organizations, then they're putting pressure on the members of Congress that would usually not listen to people. And now they feel they have to, because the ones who hold influence over them are saying, look, you need to do this. And that's really how stuff gets done.
So if someone comes to you and they just want to find out more about universal basic income, and then you say, okay, here are the things you should do. So for you back in the day, it was Mana. For me, it was Raising the Floor by Andy Stern. Is there like a starter you give them? Like, hey, read this book. Certainly you are the internet's library on this. So I refer people to scoutsantens.com, but like what do you tell people to do?
Like, that was the reasoning that I even started writing, because it was like this kind of a long map project of, I want to cover all of these different frequently asked questions. I want to cover these different angles and put it all into one place. And so I have that FAQ on my blog, and I refer to people to that a lot. And I even, because I have various articles for different commonly asked questions, then I just share those a lot as ways to get people introduced to the idea. So like that was, instead of like stopping or not doing anything and writing a book that, I could have spent years or something writing that, I just wanted to get little pieces of shareable content out and create almost like a table of contents for your multiple normal questions that are asked. And I think now at some point I'll hopefully transform that into a book here in the immediate future too, to make that even easier. But
the short answer to this, Scott, is you just say like, hey, read Yang's book. That could have been, you don't have to go through all of this. Like,
that's good. That's a good intro too, for sure. And also Andy Stern's book. There's and that's the thing too, is there's just a great many books that can introduce people in different ways, and it's important to match that book with them. So maybe someone doesn't care about the automation argument. Maybe they care about the way the welfare system works right now, their existing safety net. I would say, hey, read Tyranny of Kindness by Teresa Funicello. Like that's like a great book to read. Or
who's doing a sequel to that book right now is Annie Lowrey. Annie Lowrey is apparently neck deep in how the welfare system works. So really excited to see what she finds out. I like where you're going with this. This is an important task, Scott. So what you have to do is you have to say like, well, what kind of person or reader are you? And then being like, if you're this, read Yang's book. If you're this, read Teresa's book. If you're this, like that's very interesting.
Yeah.
You can help
or listen to
taxonomize.
this podcast. If you're not a reader, then listen to this. Or if you prefer watching, documentaries, then here's like a documentary you got to watch first. Like, yeah, it's all about meeting people where they are and make sure that, they're able to consume something about basic income in a way that they prefer and that reaches them based on, be they liberal or conservative or libertarian or Green Party or whatever. There's just so many different angles to get people to understand. So people want to support you, scoutsantens.com. What do you see as like the next couple of steps in the movement? I'm so grateful to you, man. Going through this journey with you, you've taught me a lot. I genuinely do. Like people are like, oh, Andrew Yang's Mr. UBI. And it's like, sort of. I actually think Scott deserves that title more than I do. But yeah, like how would you recommend that people best support the movement? Yeah, that's a good question. And I think number one key is first of all, becoming more educated on the topic. So, just like my own process was, I didn't want to like start speaking about it or, writing about it or do anything when I didn't feel I knew enough about it. And so that involved this educational process of doing a lot of reading and, first. So I always think that's key, is definitely learn more about it so you can speak about it, because you don't want to, it works so much better to be in a conversation with someone and be able to answer all their questions instead of being like, I don't know, I hadn't thought about that, that kind of thing. So education, important. And another part is, finding the right thing for you. Being, at least donating to organizations is definitely very helpful. If you can't do that, there's just so many other things you can, write, you can, contact, you can be like, become that person that's annoying.
My preferred method is just to open the window and just start yelling some variant. I change what I yell. I can scream, cash for all, basic income, give people money. I change it up based on the day. Just open the window up and just yell.
I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore without a basic income.